Well, welcome, bienvenue on this delightful day, only full of good news and glad tidings. There's Frank over there, a man who runs Frank Brands. And as usual, our role is to kind of elucidate the reasons, the whys, the wherefores for business branding. This is the Frank Brand Show. And today's topic is the most important reasons to rebrand your business. You're going to illustrate this using the end results of successful rebrands, talking about why it happened the way it did, and potentially even a bit of show and tell. Frank, over to you.
Yes. Hello. And good to be here. Good to be here. I don't know about the show and tell. It might be too technically weird, but I should just use the magic of my hands and my voice.
That works for me.
To get it across.
You can just do the tell bit.
I'll just tell you all about it. So I've been enjoying our conversations. Obviously, we're talking about branding,
right?
And we're talking specifically about business branding. And what is it? Why do we need it? What are the results we get from it? I think I guess this conversation is like an overcoming objection kind of thing. It's like, well, do I need branding, or what's it going to give me? Is it just do I need a new logo, or is it more than just a new logo? What is it? So let's get into what it is, why we all need it, and the end results we get from investing in it, because it is an investment. It's right. It's a strategic decision, or it should be, and you should be working with a brand designer who's got the smarts to use it strategically. And the reason is because there are literally hundreds of reasons to rebrand, and they're all pretty good reasons, and they're far too many to go through on this call. So I'm just going to.
You don't need to go through them all on the call. The whole point is you need to make it very clear the benefits that come out of rebranding, and also to maybe disabuse people of what the process is. I think a lot of people don't enter into it because they think it's going to be a peeling back, a ripping apart, a ripping, a rending, and a tearing. It doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't have to be. Could be just be a gentle evolution and some polishing and some adjusting. A lot of companies might have some good assets already in place, and it's just a question of just tweaking. So I would say the biggest point, the first one, I think is differentiation. I think that's the biggest asset that a rebrand is going to give your company. Because let's face it, with what I do, with what you do, what we all do, there's hundreds or thousands of businesses out there that do exactly the same as we do. So the most important part of branding is using it as a tool to set your business apart from the competition. So you've got to really think what makes you different in terms of how you speak to your audience, your voice. How does your brand look and feel? Are your brochures and your website, are they more attractive and more professional and more compelling than your competitors? Do you have a unique value offer that sets you apart in a really positive way? So what we need to do, and I think what I want to get across on this one is we need to start looking at our businesses as if we're customers. And I think a lot of business owners really struggle with this. Because they're so immersed in their business, they can't really see it as we see the business. And that's why it's good to get a little brand audit to speak to your local branding expert, just to get some feedback. So what are customers seeing? What do they see? And a good exercise I'd encourage watchers or listeners to do today is make a list of your 10 direct competitors, and just think, how can you set yourself apart from them? Look at them all. Take screen grabs, get them on a sheet of paper or whatever, on a document. Is there a niche or a gap that you can own that isn't covered by your competitors? And that could be your USP. That's, finding something that makes you different.
So it doesn't have are you saying it doesn't have to be that they provide a different facility, but the method by which they provide that facility?
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll take branding. There's many people that do what I do, and all of them are great. All of them are competent. And so it's very hard for people to make a decision. So what you have to do, and actually this is another point we'll get to, is really think about your target market, because that way you can find a gap in the market or something your competitors aren't doing, something they aren't talking about, that
Right.
you can grab. You can say, right, I'm having that, I'm going to own that, and I'm going to extrapolate on that, and make that my kind of USP, if you like. Maybe not forever. It could be a marketing campaign. Nothing's written in stone. You can always redo your messaging across your website and your brochures in a year's time or 2 years' time. But it's finding that what sets you apart, what differentiates you. And also a good thing to do is look at the top 10 global brands that do the same to you, and study their messaging, how they look. And I think this is really good for getting a benchmark. We all need to reach that global level with our own businesses. And, all right, they've got millions or sometimes billions to spend on their brand, maybe not billions. But they've got some serious wedge, and that's why they're as big as they are. But, if you need to reach high, if you set this really high level for your own business, and I know everyone's got budget constrictions, but that should be what you're aiming for, to get up there. And that leads on to the next point. Point number 2 is all about trust and credibility. It's if you imagine if you had a financial advisor or something like that who turned up to meet you, and they had a clapped out car and a shabby suit and BO and halitosis and looked a bit dodgy.
Hang on, you're describing me when I used to be a salesman.
I'm sure you would. So, the point is, they might be the very best financial advisor on the planet. They might be completely amazing, but if the guy is not appealing or attractive, he doesn't look financially successful. So there's a lack of credibility there, and and so you're not really going to hire him, are you? Because you want someone who's going to turn up in a decent car who looks polished and well presented. And it's
about the fact, and I hate to say it, that humans are a bit skin deep, and we make our first impressions based on the way in which someone disports themselves.
We do.
If you look like you've been dragged up from the street, you've got tea stains all over your top, and your face is all over the place, and your hair's all over the place, that often people think, maybe it's true, maybe it's not, translates into the way in which you'll deal with them.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's yeah. I mean, maybe what that description just gave is someone's target market. Probably not.
Maybe so. I'm not going to say otherwise. But what I would say is, most of the time, our target market wants us to be. Yeah. I don't think they need to be in a hat, a bow tie, and a suit. But what you do need is to look like you put yourself there intentionally, not that you arrived there by accident. Yeah,
I mean, they say you can't judge a book by a cover. Yes, we know that, but it's a bloody good way to get a conversation going if you look attractive and you're approachable, because obviously we tend to stay away from things that seem a bit dodgy or don't seem genuine. So if your logo, your brochure, and your website all look a bit shabby and unprofessional, then psychologically we all assume that the service is exactly the same, which is really awful if you're amazing at what you do and you've got a brilliant service. And I do a lot of networking with small businesses, and I meet absolutely amazing people. I was on one earlier on today. I had some brilliant conversations. Small businesses, and absolutely passionate about what they do, but they haven't yet had the time or energy or insight to invest in their brand. And so they're lacking that traction of getting forward in the market and making sales and building connections. So, a key function of branding is to develop trust. I mean, that's what it's all about, because we're not going to buy or engage with a business that we don't trust. We're not going to hand over our cash. So branding is the way to optimize this function. And then number 3 is, we touched on it just a minute ago, is target audience. And I think this is really important. It was something I struggled with for many years in my own business. One of my first questions to any new client is, who's your target market? And we've all heard this before. I mean, frequently they're going to reply, everyone. We want to sell to all people. We don't.
Yeah, I hear this all the time. My Okikoki 2000 can save time for everyone. What you've got to realize, I think, in many things, there's 2 things that comes to my mind. One is maybe you can do it to everyone, but there's going to be in the middle of the bell curve, which is of everybody that could use your product, your service, your idea, your support, your training. There's going to be the most applicable, and that is your target market, isn't it?
Yeah. It's I mean, I work with small to medium size B2B sort of businesses, normally in like legal and tech and IT and those sort of things, that's a fairly broad niche. But the one thing they do have in common is that they're really good at what they do, and they're very intelligent, but they're really crap at articulating that way in a human, approachable way. So I guess that's my USP. It's reevaluating them and reposition them so they're more approachable, and it's easy to make an emotional connection with them. But it really helps to sharply define a small but lucrative market niche, and because the more targeted your brand image and your brand messaging is to a niche, the more successful the marketing is going to be, because it's all about, I think, the branding and marketing are inseparable, and you can only make that sale if people connect with you emotionally. They have to see themselves represented. That has to resonate with them.
And it does go down to the fact that you can't redo a first impression. It's the first impression that you give to someone is that you're a bit confused, you're a bit unsure about who you really serve, and you can't really enunciate clearly what it is you're bringing to the table. Before you know it, you've lost people. And and I know the modern way is business networking, and you get perhaps a second to 5 seconds when somebody first interacts with you in this rarefied atmosphere of a business network, for them to be clear on what it is you could do that could potentially help them. And if you get that wrong, then it's very hard to recover that position. That's why some of the work that you do is absolutely critical to clarity, I guess.
I totally agree. And that's one of the whole point of branding is to get that. If people are hitting your website, and we touched about this.
Thank you, Tonya. Thank you.
When they land on your website, the user or visitor should immediately see design and values and messaging where they say, holy crap, that's me. They're speaking directly to my needs, my pain, my want. I'm in the right place. Hallelujah. Where's my credit card? Well, maybe not credit card at this point, but it's a Zoom call or a phone call or an email. And,
but they're partially convinced that this person is at least, potentially on the up and up, and doesn't look like it was put together by monkeys in a dark room. It's an intentional brand, I guess.
Yeah, great word, intentional. Yeah, and I would say it's because there's strategies being applied to the process. It's not just like randomly pulling together some design that's nice. It's actually taking time to look at your business, looking at the landscape you're in, look at competitors, define that niche audience, preferably higher value. If you want to appeal to higher value audience, who are more visually sophisticated, perhaps. You've got to look good. You've got to look high end. Otherwise, that they, as you say, they're just going to bounce as soon as they hit your website. That you've got to have brand messaging and a brand identity that ensures that your website or your marketing is really perfectly positioned to appeal to that exact niche audience, and you solve their pain. So, how many points was that? It was 3. I think it's 4.
3. I think you need a couple more just to round it off.
Yeah, okay.
And then we're going to call it a day.
Yeah. Well, I would say branding, what it delivers you, or what it should deliver you, if it's done properly, is uniqueness and authenticity. Authenticity.
The A word.
The A word. I'd like to stop using that word. I need to find another word. I think it's a bit overused. So a key part of branding is clarifying your why, which sounds a bit woo-woo, but it's really
I don't think so. I think your why is the very crux around which your business exists. If there isn't a why would anybody, even if you're selling picturesque lamps made out of ice, if your why is because it makes people happy, that's your why. But you need to be clear about what your why is. And in my case, my why is to help people promote themselves more effectively on LinkedIn. In your case, it's about helping people simplify what they do so it becomes immediately apparent why they should invest time, energy, and money in them. Yeah. Knowing your why is critical to business forward movement, I think.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's a look at, it's defining what's our purpose, what's behind it, beyond making money. Of course, we're in business because we want to make money and pay the rent and have holidays and stuff. But I think underlying most businesses and most small business owners is, you don't randomly choose a business. You do it because you're good at it. You're fascinated by it. It's something you're good at. No one does a business that they're not particularly good at. So I think digging deep and looking at, with honest, if you're honest and transparent about who you are and why you do what you do, I think that helps customers tap into the real kind of aspirational value you bring to them, as opposed to being just another commodity in the market. That's, again, going back to differentiation. That's the way to differentiate, isn't it? If everyone looks really dull and saying the same things and copying each other, and you're being honest and conversational and humanized, that's a key part of branding, to pull that out. And so good business branding should reflect the personality of the company as such, because this is going to resonate with the right people and it's going to push the wrong people away. All the tire kickers and people who waste your time. So yeah, I think it's that emotional connection. It's a person's like gut feeling about a business when you come in contact with it. It's that initial, it's a gut feeling. It's kind of it's not logical. So it's like reaching the heart instead of the mind first, and that makes a more powerful connection to potential customers. And attraction and trust is built by that, and this leads to sales generated.
There you go. You did it, Frank. We had 5 points of why a business should consider rebranding or branding right now, because it is the way. And the 5th point, it brings it home, of drawing people to you and creating a business pipeline. Because if they believe that you can do what you say you can do, because the way in which you do it is consistent throughout and is displayed by a simple branding message, that your why is obvious and therefore obvious to them, that's going to help you generate sales. Frank, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to help us do that. He's up to his ears and sinking in work at the moment, and there's a good reason for that. And I wish all of you out there, just keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars, use focused branding to make sure your message is consistent throughout all the different methods you've got of interacting with people. And I wish all of you well. Thank you, Tonya, for your comment earlier. And I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye now.
Have a good one.